Hello guys, and welcome back to my channel. In today's video I'll be sharing with you how to cut and sew this beautiful pinafore gathered dress. So if you're interested in learning something like this, keep on watching, and please hit that subscribe button, like, comment, share this video with your friends, and turn on your post notification bell so that you'll be updated when I post a new video. And without further ado, let's get straight into this tutorial. I will be drafting the pattern for the upper part of this dress using this pattern paper. The first thing I'll do is come to the top of this pattern paper and draw a straight line. This line will serve as my starting line and my shoulder line. Next, I will go ahead and impute my vertical measurements. The only vertical measurement we'll be needing is our half length measurement, and that is 16 for me. So I'll go ahead and mark that 16 on the other side so that I can get a straight line when I'm rolling it out. So I'll just go ahead and square out that line like this. Coming to my shoulder line, I will impute my neck width measurement and my neck depth measurement. I used a neck width of 3 inches and a neck depth of 4 inches. I later went ahead to adjust this off camera because I realized that the neck opening was too small for my big head to go through it. So because this dress has no zip, you have to make sure that your neck opening is big enough for your head to go through it. So I later adjusted it by making the neck width 4 inches and the neck depth about 5 or 6 inches. And I'll go ahead and connect the neckline using my curved ruler. Next, we'll go to the shoulder line and we'll impute our shoulder measurement. I'm working with a shoulder of 14. 14 divided by 2 is 7, but I'll go ahead and mark 6 inches, subtracting 1 inch because this is a pinafore dress. From that 1 inch point, I will go down by 1 inch to get my shoulder slope. So I will connect that 1 inch point to the neckline. After connecting, I'll go to my waistline and impute my waist measurement. I'm going to be imputing 1/4 of my waist measurement divided by 2. I am working with a waistline of 32 inches. 32 divided by 4 is 8 inches, and that 8 inches divided by 2 will give me 4, which I have marked down. So I'll go ahead and connect that shoulder point to that 4 inches point on the waistline like this. After connecting the points, I'll go to my shoulder line and add half an inch around the shoulder for my seam allowance like this. And I'll go ahead and connect these points using my straight ruler. This is me extending the shoulder point to meet that half inch, and we are done. We just go ahead and cut around these areas like this. So guys, basically this is it. Our front pattern is ready. It is really simple to make, very easy to make. And after cutting, guys, this is what we have. Our front pattern is ready. I'll just place this front pattern on a fresh pattern paper and trace out the back. I'm so sorry guys, I realized that my camera stopped filming while I was tracing out the back. The front and the back pattern are essentially the same thing. The only difference is in the neckline. For the back neckline, I just came down by I think half an inch or 1 inch, and that is basically the difference. Every other thing is the same. There is no zipper allowance. Because this dress has a band, I will go to my pattern around the waist area and I will subtract 2 inches from this pattern. These 2 inches I am subtracting will be for my band. I am going to be attaching a 2 inches band to this dress. This is why I am subtracting 2 inches from this. I forgot to remove this earlier while I was drafting the pattern, but it's still alright. So I will mark it on the front and the back. I'll connect it with a straight line and I'll cut it out. After cutting it out, I will use this pattern to cut on my fabric. Alright guys, I have used my pattern to cut out my fabric. I added half inch seam allowance on the sides of this fabric, and I also cut out my band. I have a total of 4 bands, 2 for the front and 2 for the back. This band measures 3 inches by 20 inches. I am working with a waistline of 32 divided by 2, we have 16, so the extra 4 inch is for seam allowance at the sides. I have also gone ahead to cut out lining pieces for the front and for the back. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'll bring my lining piece and I'll place it like this. I'll go ahead and stitch around the neck area by half an inch. I'll also bring the front part and I'll place the lining like this, and I'll also stitch around the neckline by half an inch. After stitching, this is what I have. I also went ahead to notch the neck line. I notched the neck area of the front and of the back too. So the next thing I'll do is I will open this up and I'll push all the seam allowance towards the lining area, and I'll make a top stitch on the lining area. What this does is that it helps the lining to stay in place inside the fabric. After stitching this down, this is what I have. As you can see, I made the top stitch around the lining area, both for the front and also for the back. So the next thing I'm going to do now is bring the front and the back piece together, separating the linings and from the main fabric. What I will do is I'll match the shoulder points, the shoulder area, making sure that the shoulder seam corresponds with each other, and I'll go ahead and pin that down. So I'll go ahead and pin down the entire shoulder like you can see me doing. After pinning this down, I'll take this to my sewing machine and I'll stitch half an inch on that shoulder line. I'll also go ahead and do the same thing for the other side. I'll match the shoulder seams together like this, and I'll go ahead and pin them down. And after pinning them down like you can see me doing, I will take it to the sewing machine and I'll stitch that down by half of an inch. After stitching that down, guys, this is what we have. I also went ahead to stitch the other side, and this is what we have. So flipping this inside out, guys, you can see how neat the neckline is and the shoulder line. Everything is nice and in place. Like you can see, the outside is very neat and so is the inside. The next thing I'm going to do is sew the sides. In order to do this, I need you to watch carefully. So I'll come to one side, I'll separate the main fabric from the lining, and what I'll do is I'll push the other side inside like this, okay, and sandwich that other side in between the main fabric and the lining, and I will match the shoulder seams together. Make sure you match the shoulder seams together. So I'm just going to go ahead and explain this again. Watch carefully. Okay, so what I am going to do is I will open up one side like this and I will push the other side inside, okay, sandwiching it in between the main fabric and the lining fabric. I will make sure that the shoulder points match each other. So what I will do now is I will pin that down. Guys, make sure that your shoulder seams meet each other at the same point, okay, so that you have a very clean finish when you're done. So what I am going to do now is I will go ahead and pin this down, okay. Pins are a necessity when it comes to sewing. So I'll just go ahead and pin that down all the way through from one end to the other. After pinning, this is what we have. I'll just take this to my sewing machine and I will stitch it with half an inch all the way down. After stitching, guys, this is what I have. As you can see, I've gone ahead to make my stitch, so I'll just flip it inside out like this. After turning it inside out, this is what we have, guys. Don't worry, guys, the beauty of this dress will come out after we give it a nice press. So the next thing I'm going to do is go ahead and stitch the other side using the same process. So I will just go ahead and open up this fabric like we did for the other one and sandwich the other side in between this main fabric and the lining and pin it at the shoulder seam. Make sure that your shoulder seams align with each other and you pin it down. After pinning that down, just go ahead and pin the entire thing down. And after pinning it down, I will go to my sewing machine and stitch it down by 1/2 inch like I did for the other side, and I'll show you what it looks like. After stitching it down, guys, this is what it looks like, and I'll also go ahead and flip it inside out like we did for the other side. After flipping it inside out, guys, I will go ahead and take it to my ironing board and iron it out. After ironing, this is what I have. As you can see, everything is looking very neat, both inside and outside. The neckline, the shoulders, the sides, they are looking very neat and fine. I also went ahead to iron my band. I picked 2 of the band and I ironed it in by 1/2 inch just for 2 of the bands. The other 2 bands, I did not iron it. I left it as they were. Putting my band aside, I'll bring my pinafore. I'll fold it into 2 like this and I'll notch the center, okay, to get the midpoint. After doing this, I'll also go ahead and do the same thing for the back. I will notch the center to get the midpoint. I'll also bring my waistband and I'll fold it into 2 and notch the center so that I can get my midpoint. Putting this aside, I'll introduce the fabric that I'll be using for my gathers. This is the fabric that I'll be using to create my gathers. The length of this fabric is about 24 inches. I added extra 2-inch allowance for folding and stitching allowance. Okay, so I have about 2 pieces of this fabric, one for the front and one will be for the back. Now the width of this fabric, to determine how much fabric we need to gather, I multiplied my waistline by 3.5. So if you check, I have about 60 inches. So the extra 4-inch allowance that is there is what I will be using to stitch them up at the sides. So coming back to my pinafore, what I will do is I'll attach the waistbands. Okay, I will bring the waistband that I ironed in by 1/2 inch and I'll place it right sides facing each other on the right side of this my fabric, making sure that the notch points meet each other. And I'll bring another waistband, but this waistband is the one that I did not iron in, and I'll place it on the wrong side. Okay, so I will align all these notched parts together and I will pin it down. Guys, look carefully and you will see what I am doing. Okay, the ironed part is on the right side of the fabric, right sides facing each other, while the part that I did not iron is on the wrong side of the fabric. But if you look, you will see that the waistbands are facing each other, right sides together. So what I am doing now is going ahead to just pin this down. I'll pin it down carefully, and after pinning this down, I'll take it to my sewing machine and I'll stitch it down by 1/2 inch. After stitching it down by 1/2 inch, guys, this is what I have. I have also gone ahead to do the same thing on the other side, on the back side like this. Okay, all right. Next, I will bring this my very long strip of fabric and I'll take it to my sewing machine and I'll run 2 lines of stitches on this fabric. I am going to be using the lowest and the loosest stitch length on my machine to run these lines, and I'll later gather it up to fit into this waistband. So after running these stitches, guys, this is what I have. As you can see, I have 2 lines of stitches. Make sure you do not backstitch this at the beginning and at the end, so that you be able to gather your fabrics. So pulling on the 2 top threads, guys, I have gone ahead to start forming my gathers. Guys, I have a very detailed tutorial on my channel on how to create gathers using 3 very simple methods. So if you have not seen that video, I will drop a link in the description box so that you can go and watch it, and I promise it's going to be useful to you in your gathers creation. So guys, after gathering this fabric to my desired length, that is the length of my waistband, I am going to bring my waistband, okay, that part that I did not iron, that is on the wrong side of my fabric, okay, I'm going to bring my gathers, placing the wrong side of these gathers onto the right side of that waistband, okay. So I will just go ahead and place it down like this, okay. As you can see, the gathers is just enough, okay, it fits the waistband properly. So I'll take it to my sewing machine and stitch that down. After stitching that down, guys, this is what I have, okay. Now if you look closely, you see that I didn't start the gathers from the beginning. I left about 2 inches on the sides, which will serve as my allowance to close this up at the sides. Now flipping this to the other side, you can see what it looks like at the back. Very neat and clean behind, okay. So what I am going to do is I'll flip this back to the front, and I will now arrange it properly. And the next thing I'll do is I will use this my waistband, okay, that folded edge. Now I will use it to close up these raw edges. I'll use it to conceal them inside. That was why I ironed the waistband by ½ an inch earlier. So I'll just place this over the seam allowance, and I'll just make a top stitch on that, okay. So you can see that, and I'll show you what it looks like when I'm done. So after making that top stitch, guys, this is what I have. As you can see, it is looking so beautiful, both inside and outside. I have also gone ahead to do the same thing for the other side. I attached my gathers and closed it up. Look at what it looks like at the back. It is very neat both inside and outside. Okay, so what I'll do now is I will join this together at the sides, okay. I will stitch that from the beginning to the end using the 2 inches allowance that I gave. And now turning it to the other sides, I will also match that up, and I'll stitch it down using the 2 inches allowance that I left, leaving about 6 to 7 inches opening for my zipper. So guys, I have gone ahead to stitch that down at the side, and at the other side I stitched it down to leaving about 6 to 7 inches opening for my zipper. So what I'll do now is I'll bring my zipper and I'll attach it to this side, and I'll go to my hemline and I'll fold it in twice. I'm going to fold it in once and fold it in again, and I'll make a top stitch to secure that in place. So guys, after attaching my zipper, guys, this is what we have. I also went into folding that hemline twice to secure it in place, and for the inside you can use an overlocker to secure that fraying edges. And this is it, guys. Our pinafore gathered skirt is ready. It is very simple and easy to recreate, guys. A beginner can definitely try this out without stress. Okay, as you can see, it is looking so beautiful. So guys, if you found this video helpful, go ahead and hit that subscribe button if you're not subscribed. Like this video so that more people can get to see it. Drop your questions and suggestions in the comment box, and share this video with your friends. Turn on your post notification bell so that you'll be the first person to watch my video when it comes out. So till I see you guys again next week, bye guys.